Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the SCSL. We're getting down to it here, Xun, all the way into the semifinals now with Best versus Rush. We're going to find out today whether we're going to get a PvP for that grand finals, or are we going to get a Terran player into there. Rush would love to grab an SCSL title. Snow is such a strong competitor, though, and Best is crazy strong as well. That would be quite a run if Rush managed to get through.
I would not want to be in Rush's shoes. He's up against some of the best PvT players in a row if he does somehow make it through Best here, which I don't think he will if my predictions are correct. I think Best is going to tear off his limbs and beat him to death with them, and we'll be seeing an Action versus Rush third place match.
Taking a look at the map picks here, we got Deja Vu. First pick for Rush, of course, Eclipse, going to be picked by Best. It's, you can really tell how the balance is favoring Protoss on Eclipse when they're picking that map every single time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's such a great map for PvT. You basically get a guaranteed gas steal almost always. You can even follow that up with a Nexus first, and really hard for the Terran to respond later in the game as well, with how limited they are in terms of their attacking options. You kind of have to rely purely on timing attacks on that map. It's really difficult to just split the map and sit as Terran on Eclipse. So yeah, usually it's a Protoss map all the way.
Pretty cool to see Best also picking Death Valley here for map number 4, kind of as he did in the ASL as well. Seemed to favor playing on that map, and so was picking it pretty early on in his series. Didn't always go his way, but he always pulled out some pretty interesting builds for that map, so I'm excited to see what we get from him here. Of course, the series will end on Radeon if we go all the way to map number 7. Guys, we're ready to get into it. Let's go ahead and jump into our first game.
게이트를 먼저 건설을 합니다. 그래도 그렇다면 유영진은
All right, there was a bit of a pause at the beginning of this game, so we're gonna hop right in here. Minute 30 as the gateway gets thrown down in the main. Nothing out of the ordinary to start this one off on Deja Vu. What are your predictions for this series, Xun? I know you said Best was gonna grab Rush, rip off his arms, and beat him with it, but what's cool? Can you give us some more? Yeah, what's the score you're thinking of? What score do you have in your mind right now?
I'm thinking like a 4-2 here. I think Rush is probably one of the most capable Terran players in the scene, so I think he's going to fight back against Best. I don't think Best is going to get a clean sweep 4-0 or maybe even a 4-1, but I think a pretty convincing 4-2 victory here for our great ape.
I can see that. Rush, I'm not sure if he's capable of taking on Best. I mean, he's certainly a capable player. He's made it really deep in ASL recently. But Best, I mean, he took down Light in this most recent ASL. And, I mean, even though the series was relatively close, I still think that that was a convincing win, and I'm not sure if I put Rush ahead of Light. It really depends on the day, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, but I give Rush a lot more of a chance than, say, someone like JYJ. I don't think players like JYJ have a shot in any reality of beating Best in a best-of-7 series. Rush is probably one of the only few guys that has a chance at like kind of holding his own and taking a few games off of him. I still don't think he's going to be good enough to actually eliminate Best here. I mean, he's got a bit of an early victory by killing this probe, so that's something we can say in a positive way for Rush going forward. But Best is just so good at what he does. He's not even a gimmicky player. Like someone like Snow, he's relying heavily on that shuttle control to get the better of his opponents and the crazy Reaver damage. But someone like Best, he just has pure macro and solid fundamentals and does them so well. If you want to learn how to play the game and study and try and emulate one of the pro gamers, especially in this matchup, Best is the better player to study and learn from.
Good luck trying to do what Best can do, though, man. This guy seems to break through Terran defenses that look absolutely impenetrable. And, you know, you might be, you know, hitting the build kind of similar to what Best is doing, or at least to the best of your ability. And, you know, you come up against those same defenses and get absolutely splattered. And most Protoss players do. So don't feel like you're doing something wrong here. Best just has that X factor, and he seems to break through basically everybody in the game right now.
Yeah, but obviously the Terran players these guys are going to be facing on the ladder won't nearly be as good as some of these pro gamer Terrans Best is facing off with. So I reckon as long as you could hit your macro beats and get the same kind of army supply that Best is able to muster, you'll be okay in the grand scheme of things. Look at this from Best. He knows to keep his probes on the ramp right now, just in case this vulture that slipped by makes its way up that ramp. Could spell disaster, so he wants to catch that on the ramp preemptively, just in case Rush found him early and committed to that before cycling down those probes to mine now.
Yeah, he's playing it a little bit risky here, so had to pull those probes, sending both Dragoons across the map initially. Now, he could end up getting severely punished for this. The mines being set up behind these two Dragoons, and we're going to see a tank pop out here soon, most likely. Rush unloading the bunker and then pushing back these Dragoons, which might end up running directly into those mines. Here we go. Will be pushed back now. There's the mine. Can he get the full connection? Big connection there. And will he get the second one? Not quite able to get that second Dragoon, but big damage here to start things off for Rush.
Yeah, that's a huge deal for Rush, and he's going to follow this up, I think, with a vulture drop soon as well. So he's going to apply a lot of pressure to Best, and Best might not be thinking about the vulture drop right now. Like, you kind of need to have at least 2 Dragoons in both of your bases to be able to, you know, kind of defend against that even remotely optimally. He has got this 1 Dragoon kind of chilling out over at the 3rd base location, but it's not far enough over to spot a dropship going around the edge of the map all the way on the vertical access. So there's a chance that Rush could squeeze a dropship into the main base of Best, and if all 4 of the Dragoons are just chilling in the natural like this when that dropship arrives, he's going to be in a lot of trouble.
Losing one of those early Dragoons, it hurts so badly. I hope that Best is just constantly producing off of these 2 gateways and making as many Dragoons as possible. He's actually moving across the map right now, Xun. This drop is going to come in at the perfect time.
Yeah, he's only got like 1 Dragoon that can respond to this, and it's not in position to do so effectively. A lot of probes are about to fall. That Dragoon trying to make its way over to help, but so many probes being target fired down by Rush. This is a great early win for him. He can cycle around these vultures to the north of the gas as well. Pretty good trap with the probes, but it's not good enough to shut down the harassment completely. He's still racking up probe kills. This is insane. He's actually eclipsing Best in supply momentarily with just how devastating that was, and Best transitioning into a 2-base arbiter.
Not only the kills there in the main base, but also full scouting information for Rush right now. He knows about that Stargate, and he can react accordingly. He's going to sit back at home right now and won't have very many units to defend this incoming Dragoon push. Hopefully he's got siege mode finishing up here soon. He spent a lot of time on that 1 machine shop building mines and speed. He does have siege mode, but the Dragoon's running right in here on top of everything. He's going to get 2 tanks really quickly, and this could be just begin to start to snowball out of control, moving these tanks closer and closer. But if he loses this 1 tank on high ground, he could be in a lot of trouble. No. Diving right on top of that, he's gonna get the kill. Oh, lots of missed shots here, but he does manage to get that kill, and now he's gonna start to ravage this SCV line, getting a lot of kills here and starting to even things out.
Yeah, there's 1 more tank popping out now to hold the line and prevent total disaster, but killing 3 tanks at this junction of the game, a little bit problematic for Rush. He has traded off quite a few of those Dragoons, but Best is happy to take that trade and reduce the overall tank count for the later phases. We've got a shuttle loaded up with some Dark Templars as well. He's looking for continuation damage. Rush just clearing out one of the eggs on the ramp to increase the circulation of his units there. I mean, Best is not done with him yet. He wants to try and compensate for how many probes he lost momentarily. There is a turret in the main base to help deal with this, but not really a lot of vultures or anything that can quickly respond to these DTs, so you might actually get the kill on that turret.
Yeah, he's sending the vultures across the map in the shuttle, right, or in the dropship right now, so he could take a lot of damage here. Gonna go ahead and drop, waiting for a scan, but the scanner is not even done yet, so just gonna have to deal with this purely with the turrets for now. Scanner gonna finish up here in a moment. Drop comes in, one probe only so far. Best doing a much better job at shutting down this follow-up attack.
Yeah, this is a lot better from Best. He's still not out of the woods. You know, he's still essentially playing catch-up because he did lose a lot of that economy earlier. But he's killed a lot of tanks. He's kept Rush on the back foot a little bit. Rush coming in now, getting a couple of extra probe kills. I think he only actually got one there when all said and done. And yeah, eventually Best will start to stabilize and equalize the power scaling and try and make up for that earlier deficit. So he at least will have a pretty formidable mid-game to work with.
Still no third base on the way here for Best. We're approaching that 10-minute mark. Two-base Arbiter has fallen out of fashion recently, and with the minimal amount of damage he's done with this DT drop, I'm afraid for his position here. Losing probes early and then not really getting that damage done. Losing some Dragoons as well. He's going to be driven back into another mine. These mines have really been the bane of his existence in this game so far. Only the kills on the tanks have really gone his way in this game, and Rush is starting to move towards this third base. Great mine! Oh my god, that mine was insane.
Yeah, that's really good, but I'm really respecting Rush's play though at the same time. He's holding his own like I thought he would say, and he's kind of drying up a little bit on what forces he has to leverage against Best, and luckily for him, Best hasn't got too much to ram it down with right now, so it seems like Rush might be able to get away with this third base. It's going to be a little bit taxing on his task switching ability though. Really active play from Best with the DT and shuttle helping thin out the herd of those siege tanks, keeping the hope alive. And now the Arbiter coming in, he's really limited on scans as well, so unless he gets turrets set up at this third base, Best is actually looking to try and capitalize on this small window. Another DT play, dropping out onto that siege tank, taking down another one of those, and now he's threatening this third base directly. Dragoons on top of that. Rush suddenly in a lot of trouble. I'm not even sure if he can save this CC right now.
Well, he should be able to save the CC with these two tanks moving forward and a bunch of SCVs, but how much is he going to lose to end up saving this? Oh my goodness. I mean, he could dive on the tanks right now. There's the stasis. Oh my god, the stasis coming in at the perfect moment here. He can pick off this tank and potentially get the CC as well.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that he's got no more scans. Say, okay, he's just barely trickling out additional scans. I think that might be the last scan now for at least like 20 so seconds, and he might lose the CC in that time. He's desperately hoping some of these mines connect to distract the vultures, distract the Dragoons long enough so that the CC can float to an area of safety. The ice cubes will eventually thaw out and be able to be leveraged yet again. But here comes another round of infantry from Best. It's a bit of a choked up area, hard to get into, but as soon as those Zealots start dragging mines into these siege tanks, there's a lot of trouble now for Rush. As these ice cubes finally melt, they're going to be eviscerated and set to boil. I mean, they're changing states rapidly from ice cubes to gas almost instantly as they evaporate under the phase disruption shots of this grade 8 player who is denying this third base attempt while taking his own at 9.
Yeah, I don't know about this. Like, Rush, he rushed into this third base so quickly. It's clear that, you know, he thought that Best must have a base somewhere. Why else would he need this third base so quickly? Why did he need to push down over to this location? It's really cost him a lot of tanks, and he's still not able to get this third base online. Third now finally coming up for Best, but I think Rush could have delayed this third a little bit longer and been pretty happy.
Yeah, I mean, and this run by with the vultures, unless that mine somehow dragged into the mineral line and killed a bunch of probes, this wasn't worth it. He's already low on supply. He can't afford to throw vultures away to kill a few workers here and there. He needs them to screen against the zealots and buffer when he tries to take his third for another go. I don't know if I like Rush's chances anymore. I think Best has done enough damage to him where he's going to start rapidly outscaling him. Already 50 supply ahead, Arbiter and units still sitting at this third base, and a massive rally of units that also Best can leverage and attack from the north. Those are some pretty good mine connections though. If somehow Rush can clean out this army more or less for free, maybe they'll give him some fighting hopes. Now he pretty much has done it. He's cleared out all this army without really losing anything, and now as long as he doesn't like make any further mistakes with how he positions and controls his units, there is a pretty good chance that Rush could take this third and make a game of it still.
My gosh, mine's absolute MVP this game on the side of Rush. Sometimes we see Terran players get completely destroyed by their own mines, and Best is one of those Protoss that is so good at getting the mine drags necessary to blow up tanks and vultures and Goliaths, but here he is getting absolutely slammed by these mines non-stop. Every time we see an engagement, it's been exclamated by mine connections, just landing on tons and tons of Protoss units. And now Rush has his third base set up, and this game will continue on, Xun. I still don't like Rush's position a lot, but at least he's got this third base up and online and has a chance in this game.
Yeah, and there's no early fourth base from Best to really cause a thorn in his side and force him to come out early. And let's be honest, this is one of the better maps to play against Arbiters on. With the positioning of the expansion, you're already setting up a preemptive defensive ring around your main base, and we'll see those Arbiters coming in no matter what angle they do so. So you will have enough time at least to, you know, cycle your units back to defensive positions to deal with that when it does finally come into effect. So I think all things considered, the position is okay for Rush, especially given the fact that Best doesn't have this really fast fourth base timing for him to worry about, so he can just sit on these three bases and power up.
And indeed he will do so. I'm taking a look at the upgrades here. He's already got +2 done, so during all of that chaos earlier in the game was able to continue on with his upgrades. I'm sure we're going to be seeing +3 here soon, as well as +1 armor. Rush can just sit back. This is his map pick. Best cannot crack this shell just yet. He's gonna wait a little bit longer, allow Rush to come out and try to capitalize on a mistake. Look at this, mines in the main base. He is well set up and well prepared for the potential of recall. It's not Best's bread and butter. Recall is not something or Arbiter play is not something that we generally expect from him. He's much more of a Shuttle High Templar style of player, but he's decided to throw it out here on the first map, Rush's map pick, and he's doing a great job with it. I'm pretty surprised about that. I'm pretty surprised he's been able to do this well against Rush with Arbiter.
It may even be in response to the damage that was sustained early on. He realized that he had to go for a more tech-heavy play and that he wouldn't have the economy to just power up on gateway units alone and do the heavy lifting like he usually does. So I imagine the 2-base Stargate into Arbiter was a little bit of an adjustment from Best, given that he lost so many probes in the early phase of the game to that dropship play. And he's making the necessary adjustments, slowing down his own expansion warpath, but now he's double expanding, taking the 4th base in the top right quadrant as well as the main base up there too. But looks like Rush is ready to move out. He's hit that like 180 supply mark, which is a very good move out timing for Terran. He can slow down this advance with a lot of massive stasises, which will be a little bit of a problem, but he's created a wall that now his zealots won't find good purchase on this army. Preemptive matrix on the eastern tank as well. Some more and more stasis is coming down from Best, but he's not getting the best of trades. So he's created a wall for himself to contend with, and I feel like he has to pull out.
Yeah, he also stood there and just killed that barracks in the air. That barracks was sitting there tanking so much damage. Rush wasn't able to do this drop during the attack. I think that would have been absolutely brilliant if he was able to get that going at the same time, but Does come in and gets a little bit of damage after the fact, and is going to continue this push forward once all of these tanks are unthawed here. You can see unsieging the majority of this army. Got to be very careful moving out against Best, though. This guy doesn't have a lot of energy right now on these Arbiters, and he doesn't have Storm, which he usually would have. One of the, oh god, that big round of probes. Is he able to get the big shot there? We kind of missed it on screen, but there was potential for a lot of damage over at that top right-hand corner. Rush continuing to harass and pushing up along this vertical axis.
Yeah, I mean, Best is attempting to do some Protoss 101 right now and just avoid a direct frontal engagement with the Terran Metal and do some counterattacks here down at the third base and try and pull back Rush. But Rush has split off a few defenders to go down there and deal with that while still ramming it down on this vertical axis, already setting up a contain on this rally point. A stasis comes out, traps the science vessel in a few units, trying to halt this Terran advance, and will attempt to defend by using storms from the high ground, which is a very effective tactic. But I mean, Rush is in a great poised position to go the way right now. Best has no gateways set up at an additional rally point, and these ice cube walls are just helping having Rush out right now at dealing with Best by kind of funneling his units up more in trouble. That's a beautiful storm, and he has some reinforcements coming from the high ground, does Best from behind, so it looks like he will clear out the majority of these aggressing units. But that's not the bulk of Rush's army. The bulk of it went back to defend the third base, so this attack is still online.
Well, this attack's going to come through. Another amazing stasis and a follow-up storm as well. How does he keep doing it? Best has cleared the army and another stasis. Wow. Are you kidding me? So much of the army right now is contained in these ice cubes, and over here at the rally, everything's going to be lost. I'm blown away, dude. Best is insane. How did he make that work?
Oh, man. In the words of Jesse Pinkman, he can't keep getting away with this.
Absolutely unbelievable, Xun. The first game of the night. This does not bode well for Rush. Best able to take down Rush with an Arbiter play on his map pick. Now we're going to Eclipse, Xun. Ooh, that's yeah, it's not looking good.
현재 스코어보드 수정 중에 있고요.
Here we are, Rush spawning down in the bottom left-hand corner. We got Best over in the top right. It's Eclipse time, Xun. Here we go.
I mean, I hope that Rush can fight back against Best and give us some good games, but losing the first game on Deja Vu after killing that many probes with the Vulture drop initially, I don't know, man. I don't like his chances. I was kind of like being generous when I gave him the 4-2 prediction. I really did feel like he could fight back against Best stronger than this, and I'm gonna be kind of blown away if somehow Best just 4-0s him right here, like he doesn't even exist in the pro gamer scene. He's one of the most respectable Terran players there is, but Best is Best, and he will break unbreakable positions. He will come back from positions that seem insurmountable. There's just nothing more you can say about this guy. He's just really the real deal and doesn't even rely on gimmicks to get there.
Yeah, he's setting up his range of play by going for that DT into Arbiter play. Game number 1, he's just showing what he's capable of here. And I mean, there were only some very small mistakes. I'd have to be nitpicking to say that they were actual mistakes from Rush in that last game. You know, not sieging up the tanks. He was killing an egg on the ramp when the Dragoons came in. After that initial damage ended up costing him those extra tanks, right? He lost 3 tanks in the natural, and then tried to push a little bit too eagerly towards that third base when Best was just kind of sitting and powering on 2 bases. Now he's here on Eclipse. Things are going to be harder than ever with a gas steal into Nexus first. The classic. Best is going to have a fantastic position, and I mean, we saw what happened when Rush had an advantage. What about when Best has an advantage in the game?
Yeah, this is the classic Coca-Cola of the build orders here from Best, and Rush previously looking a little bit like Diet Pepsi, but now he's pulling the boys. He's trying to contend with Best early on by bringing the fight to him before this build can get off the ground. He has been spotted building a bunker by the scouting probe, so he's going to try and delay that for as long as possible. Soon a Marine will arrive and start to skirmish with these worker units, but if somehow Best can hold the line and not allow bunkers to go down near his nexuses, then he's going to be in trouble now. Does take one of the SCVs down already, has a probe has the gas in the main base to drill these probes over, but pretty good micro from Rush here, taking out additional probes while keeping the majority of his Marines alive. Just one biting dust. Here comes a Zealot, does manage to intercept this third Marine though, and it's body blocked by his own SCV, so it dies to the particle beams, and unfortunately probably will only get maybe 1 or 2 Marines in that bunker when all's said and done. He's still intercepting more and more of these Marines. It's just one punch from going down. Pretty good body blocking onto this Zealot. It's not good enough though. He's going to kill the Marine.
That was some really good body blocking from Rush, but it's not, like you said, enough here. Good surround there as well on that Zealot. In the end, this bunker play is kind of doomed to fail. So far away from the natural here, and he's going to have Dragoons out in a moment, and that is just not going to be possible to push forward any further. Has he done enough damage, killed enough probes with this to actually make this worth it? To make this into a playable game? He's going to lose more SCVs now. He's never going to get this bunker up. These Zealots are too well controlled, and now there's 3 of them as well. It's not going to happen, Xun. This bunker gets loaded up with 1 single Marine, but that's just not going to cut it.
Right, he can just run by this bunker, and like this Marine cannot do anything. Like even if he tries to pressure the probes in the natural with the Marine, the probes will just kill the Marine. There is no hope here for Rush to get some compensation for this. He's building a CC back at home, trying to turn this into a bit of a bunker expand. But with these 3 Zealots making their way downtown, Rush is in a lot of trouble. That bunker will not be done in time. Even if it was, he could still run by. He's going to predominantly rely on Marine micro with an SCV or 2 to body block. Best actually does need to turn and run from 6 Marines and an SCV the body block. You can still kill those 3 Zealots, so we'll have that bunker finished up in time. But another round of Zealots coming out, going to be cleaning out this bunker. He's up to 6 Zealots worth of attacking power here. He could do a delayed run by into the main base with these 6 Zealots if he wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. Could try to do something like that. Of course, the bunker will be done at this point. And so, you know, you might not want to just dive into the natural, possibly just go right past into the main. But I think that Rush is good enough to stop that, right? He should be on top of this to pull the SCVs to potentially block that. And look at this, he's even adding on a supply depot. So he's well aware of the potential for a play like that.
Right, another additional 2 units as well going to be joining the fray for a total of 8. He's going to have 8 Zealots making their way, and he's going for bio. He's got an academy and a 2nd barracks in production. What a wild game number 2 we're having here on Eclipse. Here come the Zealots now, looking to go for some ground and pound on this Terran force. SCVs coming off the line, doing a pretty good job of holding it, and those linebackers really paying dividends as those Zealots have to tuck tail and run. All 6 of those Zealots basically useless to a massive Terran wall. He did manage to kill an SCV and kind of compensate a little bit, but now Rush has a chance of slowly but surely coming back in the ebb and flow of the game.
Well, I mean, this is not going to be a long macro game, and no matter which way you slice it, there's going to be an attack here soon, and if it works for Rush, he could win this game. If it fails, the game is over, and Rush will have to tap out. He's hiding Marines on the high ground. He's trying to obfuscate how many Marines are being made and what the follow-up is going to be here. But, I mean, Best is pulled all the way back because of this one SCV. Yeah. Maybe there's a chance that he can come straight across the map and surprise Best here. He's actually going to get all the way across without any sort of scouting information from Best. So this is the absolute best case scenario for this play from Rush. No Reaver attack coming online here. Oh my gosh. Is this actually going to work?
And this is like a fastest play. We're seeing like almost mass Zealots versus Bio and a couple of 5-outs thrown into the mix. They are actually really good against Zealots with that natural armor and the splash damage. Could do a lot of damage to Best in this engagement. 5-out does bite the dust pretty quickly, but the other one might take a few extra shots. And actually, this is not enough critical mass for Rush to easily break through. Some of those units target firing down, but with the remainder of the Bio forces, it's really difficult to actually get the kill with just 4 Dragoons. As long as the Marines are being repaired a little bit, you can't just one-shot them down. Here comes the probes, though, to try and help out and do a lot of heavy lifting for these Dragoon forces. He tries to get on top of this Bio force before a bunker can be laid down in the wake of this rally point location. Probes are starting to fall. Only 2 Dragoons are remaining. The first bunker is finished up. He desperately kills the Marine before it can get to the safety of one of the bunkers, though. 2 more Marines trying to make a gambit of it. Not going to be successful. Somehow, some way, Best holds.
No way, Xun. He holds this attack. I really thought he was going to be able to cut through those Dragoons, but I think the medic energy ran out at the 11th hour there. He just did not have the sustain to continue fighting those Dragoons, and Best pulled the probes and traded out just at the right time there. He did lose quite a few probes, but it's absolutely worth it. You just need to live through an attack like that and you will be in an amazing position. There is some sort of transition coming from Rush, but his hopes are through the floor at this point in terms of actually winning this game. Anytime you go for a bio play, it's pretty much do or die, and we're at the point of die now for Rush. He is gonna try to continue on in this game, but there's a very limited chance. His options are super slim, and looks like a 5 factory play to follow this up. Just gonna build a bunch of units and try to go for broke.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to hope that somehow he did do enough damage to the probes and lost mining time of Best that he will be able to make the transition. But Best has got an observer in the main base right now. He's going to see everything and know how to min-max and adjust his own situation to more formidably counter Rush here. I mean, this is going to be brutal. He's even got a Reaver in a shuttle that he's going to be harassing Rush with, and I don't think Rush can really afford to be totally defensive here. If he starts making turrets everywhere and that kind of thing, actually can't make turrets. He didn't even make an engineering base. So I mean, there's like 4 Marines in the natural bunker as his only anti-air here. This Reaver is gonna have a field day, Saiyan.
Yeah, Best's not the greatest Reaver micro player, but with no anti-air here, it's pretty hard to miss. Best's going to fly into this main base here in a moment and begin the harassment. He's actually holding back so far, maybe expecting more from Rush, maybe expecting more defenses here, but he is wide open. This is free real estate, and Best is kind of missing out on his opportunity.
Yeah, I guess he's just worried about a few Goliaths popping out with Karen boosters and taking out the shuttle for free. That's like one of the ways that Rush can come back in this game easily, is if he, you know, loses the shuttle and Reavers, because that's the only thing that's going to stop Rush from pushing across the map and challenging him right now. So he probably considers them vital assets, and like you say, not exactly Snow-esque micro with those assets as well. So probably wants to kind of hedge his bets and play as safe as possible and not really gamble on doing crippling damage to Rush as a result of needing them that badly. But I mean, this really does play into Rush's hands now. I mean, Rush is going to have a very strong timing attack, and if he can somehow thwart the Reavers that will be slowing him down, he's going to be feeling fantastic, actually. Like, supplies aren't too bad for him. Best hasn't got a greedy 4th on the way or anything. This is very doable for Rush.
Yeah, this is surprising. I didn't expect Rush to be able to transition this well coming off of that bio play. Of course, his upgrades are non-existent. He's not going to have, you know, +1 or anything like that. Even I know that he has an armory. He might have started that upgrade now, but it's so far behind the curve. It's almost like you might as well not even bother getting it, considering like you need to do damage here. Too much has happened in this game. We're already at the 12-minute 30 mark, and the first push forward is happening now. getting some very good shots with this Reaver so far, but Rush will open up this position. He will start to move forward, and he has some Goliaths to try and snipe this shuttle with Charon boosters probably finishing up now.
Yeah, and the tanks on the high ground actually eliminated one of those Reavers already, so Best has lost 50% of his slowdown potential. CC floating over to that third base. Leg enhancements are online. You can see the pain train of Zealots running downtown now, getting in position to thwart this army just as he moves out to try and take this third base where he starts to become spread thin. Best needs to be careful he doesn't pull the trigger on that too early and attack this entrenched formation though. I think this is a mistake from Best. He's going to go for it anyway and hopefully get some good mind drags. There might not be enough vultures to buffer against these Zealots, but I think this is a misplay from Best, and Rush will actually start to win this fight. We'll have to wait and see. That's a pretty good Scarab connection though, taking out 2 of those siege tanks off the phone, because Best somehow always manages to do it just when you think, oh, there's no way he can break through here. He still somehow manages to do it.
Oh my gosh, he's still going for damage there in the mineral line as well. Dude, a lot of army was traded back and forth there. Still very similar in supply, both of these players. Rush gonna sit back for now, wait for another round of units, and look to push out. Once again, 7 factories. He is going all in. He's gonna try and smash Best here. Actually, he did have a CC. I think I saw a CC floating out of the main earlier, so he's gonna try and take a third base behind a push. It's going to be tough, though. He has so few units. Same goes for Best, though. This is such a scrappy game.
Yeah, no, it's very scrappy, and he did eliminate both of those Reavers. I think there's some, additional speed shuttles now, but I'm not sure. I don't think he's producing any more Reavers for those. I think those are just going to be Zealot bombing shuttles from this point onwards, and we're going to be going into full-on Gateway Man style here from Best, trying to clear out some mines at the 4th base to take that soon. And it looks like Rush, undeterred in taking this 3rd base, he's going to get that online at almost no cost now after holding against that attack from Best. And even though it was a very formidable and valiant effort there from Best to go in and just start eliminating tanks the way he did just now, it was a very deeply entrenched position that traded cost efficiently. It did not nearly do as much damage as it could have done if Best had caught Rush with his pants down, moving out to try and take this 3rd earlier. So, I mean, when all said and done, it looks like we got a real game on our hands here, Sam. We're going to be getting a science facility finished up here, slightly delayed grades from Rush as a result, but honestly, this position is looking pretty good for him.
Well, everything gets pretty spread out on Eclipse when the 3rd base is taken. That is going to open up quite a few opportunities here for Best. His army is not quite as big as it was before, but he's going to try for it again here, diving on top of the high ground with some drops, dropping these Zealots on top of a lot of the tanks up there. He's going to try and ram it down, jumping on those tanks on the right-hand side as well. These high ground tanks are getting some amazing damage, though, and look at the supply just evaporate. Yeah. My goodness, Rush taking a fantastic trade there.
Yeah, looking at how his army was set up, I was for sure that there's no way that Best was going to do too much to him there. I was really liking Rush's position overall, and that was just exemplified by that fight just now. Best in a little bit of trouble. This 4th base is quite delayed. The one thing going for him is that Rush is delayed on his own upgrades, so won't be able to outscale the Protoss too quickly here in this game, but already winning on paper and in terms of economy, and the power scaling is definitely favoring the Terran right now. Best is going to be on the back foot for a little bit of time.
I gotta say, Rush is really impressing me with this game. Yeah. Like the ability to switch from bio play into a long-term mech transition. It's shocking that he's able to pull this off. This is so hard to do. And he's actually making it look fantastic. The damage, I guess, that he did with the early bio play was just barely enough to make this work, and he's been taking great trades ever since, baiting Best into these entrenched positions and just winning overall through firepower alone. Rush now with these 3 bases locked down. He's going to be hitting that 160 supply mark here soon and moving towards that 4th base.
Yeah, there's a lot of little nuanced moves that Rush has been doing as well. Meanwhile, like scanning this rally point, checking when there's High Templars exposed. He's been poking in with vultures here and there, sniping a High Templar or two, just thinning out the utility available to Best for the future trades. And now Rush, he could just take a 4th base right now if he wanted to. He doesn't have to. He could just do a massive 3-base timing push on 1-1 upgrades. It depends on what kind of style he wants to go for here. Usually you want to avoid just splitting the map on Eclipse. It's just too difficult to cover all the lanes and keep like rotating your army down from the northern flank to the southern one close to your rally point over and over again. It looks like he's just positioning himself for a 4th base attempt here, and I have to respect it.
Yeah, he's taking his time. He knows that the position is pretty good right now and that Best is liable to just throw his army in and try to deal some damage. He doesn't want to allow a Rush to lock down 4 bases here. 4 bases is going to take you a long way in this matchup as the Terran player. He's going to have income going and be able to max out multiple times before all of that runs out of money. And Best here, he's poking, he's looking at the defenses, but he's a little bit concerned after those first couple of attacks didn't go his way. Is it worthwhile to kind of dive in here, or does he need some sort of additional tech to be able to break through Rush?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I don't think his usual antics are going to end up paying off. I feel like he has to somehow bait Rush into a bad engagement somehow. I don't even see how he's going to achieve that. Rush has got the majority of his forces split quite nicely. He's got the right amount of defenders allocated on either side of the map. And as long as he scans constantly for the army positioning of Best, as well as having a couple of scouting raiding vultures out here, causing distractions, killing a few probes, and also keeping an eye on the movements of the army of Best, he's going to be feeling pretty fantastic. You can see a lot of shuttles being lined up now from Best, looking to go on the offensive soon with masses of storms and zealot bombs onto those tank lines. It's just going to come down to how well Rush can identify where the attack is coming from. You can see now Best making his way on this southern flank towards these forces. And yeah, look at this. Rush scanned, saw the army, and is now repositioning his defenders accordingly. This is Terran 101 in the late game. As long as you keep half of your army fluid, moving around to respond to threats that are coming from the Protoss by scanning this much, you're going to be okay.
Is doing a fantastic job so far of mirroring the Protoss army and its movements across the map. Look at that beautiful scan. He knows exactly where this army is at. Shuttles moving over towards the top left-hand side, but there's no way in to Rush's defense right now. I feel that, you know, maybe it's just better for Best to sit back and wait for a move from Rush. Wait for him to try and go down one of these lanes and then counter, or try to get on top of the army and get some money storms that can kind of change the fates here.
Right, yeah. He needs to do something that's, you know, maneuver warfare based. If he tries to do any kind of frontal engagement or just trade into the lines of Rush, I feel like he's going to have a very bad day. He has technically got a more superior base count. Like, there's only 2 mining bases right now for Rush after the main and natural being mined out, whereas Best is going to have 4 bases that he can mine from. So it's technically 4 versus 2 mining bases here from Best. And he's going to take this base in the top left as a point of contention. He knows this is the next natural path of expansion from Rush here, so he's going to take that base and try and mine it out a little bit. So if we do get into a super late game, some of that base will also be dried up so that Rush can't get the full yield out of it. And he's also just going to try and skirmish with Rush. Every time he tries to come up here and take this Best, he's going to respond.
We're just waiting for a move from Rush. The banks are starting to build up. Rush himself has over 1,000 minerals with a fully maxed out army. Where is he going to head with this? As he's just waiting for that movement so that he can react. He's not interested in throwing another army into these defensive positions. It's too well fortified for Rush now, and so everything unsieging. Here it is. He's going to head down the middle lane.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Can best identify this, and these tanks moving up here have been spotted by that observer, so best knows that that's the point of contention now, is in this center lane. He's got all the speed shuttles rotating up there. He's got army to the north and to the east, ready to try and get into good pincer maneuver flanking formations. He's kind of diving now, gets on top of the tanks just as they're sieging up. Preemptive D-Matrix on the eastern flank. Here comes so many Sonic Storms as well from best. Another D-Matrix going down. Not as many storms as I thought we were going to be seeing, but more of those trickling out now. Good target firing from Rush as well, eliminating those high Templar units before they can get off the majority of their storms. The target firing from Rush was absolutely insane during that fight. He stopped so many storms from coming online, and a lot of those tanks are on red HP, and he's still rolling down forward towards the rally point of Best now, who's only on 120 supply. I'm not sure he can hold off this Terran attack.
He's going to try another big round of Zealots. Most of the Vultures have dried out, but a round of reinforcements should be coming up here soon. Some storms being thrown down, and he's going to go ahead and load up. Oh, he loses one of the shuttles that he just loaded up a bunch of Zealots and High Templars into.
Wow.
I'm going to go ahead and jump on top. This is so many tanks, Xun. Holy. Yeah, I mean, I don't even see a single Vulture on screen here. This is all tanks.
Yeah, I mean, we just had a massive fight, and there's still this many tanks left over. I mean, Rush is an absolute madman here, and he's doing a great job of making Best look a little bit silly on a Protoss-favored map, no less. So he needs to be careful that he doesn't overstay his welcome. There will be a few massive storms coming from the High Templars on the high ground. Try and say that 3 times fast. As long as he spreads his tanks a little bit here, he's going to force a GG. It does come out from Best, and we are going to be seeing this series tied up in game number 2, 1 game apiece.
A really intense game there. A lot of back and forth. I mean, again, going from the bio play into that mech switch and making it work, so impressive from Rush. I mean, we've seen time and time again that bio play just fall completely flat after it fails. The Terran player basically has to tap out, but Rush hangs in there. I thought it was it was just completely over. I thought that he was done, but he manages to transition and make that into a game. What can't this guy do?
I know, right? I mean, I really wasn't like trying to hype him up when I said he's one of the best Terran players on this scene. This guy can hang with the best of them.
Right on into game number 3 here. Best spawning in the top left-hand corner. Rush in the top right. Glad we're getting a close series, at least thus far.
Yeah.
With both players on the board, it's now Rush's map pick here. Polestar is our next map.
And honestly, pretty good map for Terran, saying this third base is very defendable. It sets you up for great anti-arbiter play, similarly to that Deja Vu map, with how it creates a natural ring around your main base. Easier to spot and intercept those arbiters as they're making their way in to launch their recalls and assaults onto your production line. So there's a lot of things to write home about on these maps, and the majority of the time the problem is how hard it is to take your third bases. Terran usually determines how hard of a map it is against that Protoss race, and this is one of the easiest third bases to defend long term against Protoss, so Rush could have a really good game here as well.
It's looking like a forward gateway from Best. Thinking about putting on some pressure to Rush here early, and he gets the first scout as well. Bit of luck going his way here, allowing him to start the harassment early, deal a little damage to some of these SCVs that are trying to get this infrastructure online, and set up his Zealot for a bit of an alley-oop later on as that comes across the map to look for that initial damage. Gonna go
Well, it does
ahead.
shave
Yeah.
off some.
Go ahead.
Oh, excuse me. I was gonna say it shaves off some valuable seconds of the Zealot's timing on getting into that main base by making the gateway in a natural like that. So you can, you know, as long as you know where the opponent is and it's not cross map, there's a strong chance that the Zealot might be able to do something before there's too many defensive units to thwart it. You're probably going to get up the ramp and bully the Marines a little bit here. It's unlikely that they'll have enough timing to get 3 Marines out and body block the Zealot in time. They're going to have 2 Marines with a 3rd on the way and factory nowhere near finished. So this Zealot can come in here with the probe in conjunction and challenge these 2 Marines on the ramp.
Man, quite the slowdown. Oh, and he gets a couple of extra hits on these Marines as well. Gonna lose one of these SCVs. Nice move there. Oh, actually targeting his own supply depot for a second there. Rush having a bit of a hard time with this early game, man. His factory was super late. This is some good control, though. Does pick off the Zealot. Coming down the ramp is a bit ambitious, however. 4 Marines, though. Nice block with the SCV as well. Yeah, that factory was pretty darn late here for Rush. Something like the 2-minute 40 factory. So really having a hard time dealing with that initial probe harassment, and this Zealot harassment has ended, but still the Vulture's not out.
Yeah, and then Rush, I mean, Best has to be careful now. That second Zealot's taken a lot of damage, the one on the bottom. If he's not careful, he runs the risk of being outplayed by these Marines. Some of the shields getting shaved off of that healthy Zealot as well. And there's no Dragoons on the way or anything. Like, he's kind of forcing a lot of... Oh, there is a Dragoon right there. Okay, excuse me. So he does have a 3rd unit to already start to put the pressure on. And now we'll have also a point defense unit to stop this Vulture having a field day with the Zealots as well. So Best has been able to avoid total disaster here, but the Vulture actually ran around the army of Best and is looking to poke into the natural. There's a probe that can build a building to block it. Is he paying attention? He's not paying attention, so the Vulture squeezes in right before the Dragoon pops out, Saiyan.
How many kills can he get with that Vulture? Back at home, he's losing a lot of these Marines. Dragoon's gonna just stand here and fight 1 kill. That's not quite enough here. So you gotta get a little bit more out of this initial Vulture to make it worth it. He's gonna loop all the way around and try to come back behind these mineral patches, get a couple more kills. So many Marines are going down here now. 2 kills. Still not quite worth it for the loss of life here. The death of this Vulture. It needs to get a bit more, and it seems like he might just get it. 4 kills. All right, that's definitely worth it. 3 is on the line, but 4 is pretty strong.
Yeah, it's worth it, but let's think about what happened in retaliation there. He busted the natural, he killed the SEV, building the CC, and delayed that from finishing. So he's kind of made up the deficit of losing that additional probe there. And he had some good task switching abilities. A lot more probes could have fallen to that Vulture just because he kept cycling out the low HP probes that were being targeted. He's going to try and pounce in the natural now. Should wisely pull back, though. One of the Dragoons is dangerously low on HP, and you cannot challenge 2 tanks with 3 Dragoons like this. Unfortunately, won't get any further slowdown on that CC. But when all's said and done, this still does favor Rush, though, even though there was some compensation from Best by slowing down that CC and killing a few of those Marines. It's not that bad for Terran.
It's a very interesting position. So much action between these guys early on, and each and every one of these games, they've been throwing punches early and landing pretty heavy blows on each other. And
right,
it's hard to tell exactly where we stand here, but I do feel that Rush has a bit of an advantage. Will he be able to capitalize on that here? He's got quite a few Marines at the front, some tanks as well, maybe looking to do a strong FD. He's got 3 tanks here with a bunch of Marines to try and push the issue. 4 tanks now is pretty scary.
Yeah, this is like a nada timing attack here, waiting for just 4 tanks rather than 5, and trying to hit at an off timing where the Protoss hasn't yet got a sufficient number of defenders. It's going to be like 7 Dragoons versus 4 tanks, 6 Marines, 2 Vultures, and SCV, and one of those Dragoons is on red HP as well. If Rush identifies that low HP Dragoon right away, he's going to be able to take that out, but not the best of target firing. Best going to be pouncing on top of that. That was a bit of a weird siege off from Rush, and Best getting the better of him in this trade thus far, though there is another Dragoon that's about to fall, so now it's only 3 Dragoons. He has to take out this tank to remain comfortable, and he hasn't yet done that. The Vultures and Marines screening as they need to, finally going to be pouncing on top of that siege tank with an additional Dragoon that comes out of the gateway, so he's just barely holding, but will lose 1 more Dragoon on the retreat.
Oh, he can get this tank as well, Xun. Kind of crazy for him to go ahead and just rush right in here with the tank as well. That's probably going to end up going down. Oh, he has the SCV there to repair, and so we'll just dive in with this Vulture. Tank actually should survive, pulling back home. I mean, that was a crazy move from Rush. Walking up like that and sieging, probably the worst possible way to take that initial engagement. I don't think that first tank that sieged up got even a single shot off in that fight.
Yeah, I would have much rather a single tank siege up slightly further back and the other 3 push up on an attack move and manually left click onto the Dragoons to find the weakened one, and then with those 3 unsieged tanks and the siege tank, using that as a point defense and anchoring on that one siege in the back line while the other 3 go to target down the weakened Dragoon. Might have been a bit of a better tactic there from Rush. He lost a lot of tempo by being that ambitious so soon, and allowed Best a bit of a comeback mechanic here, but he's still not out of the woods. I mean, looking at the supplies, it seems to indicate a pretty comfortable position for Rush, although we have got the 3rd base on the way now for Best, and I mean the supplies don't always reflect the game state. I mean, he lost a lot of siege tanks during that engagement, and the reality is resetting the Terran siege tanks can cause a nightmare the longer the game goes on. He seems to have replenished that pretty healthily. We'll have to wait and see how well Best can defend against any future timing attacks that might try and come down to his 3rd.
Immediately upon killing off all of those tanks, Best gonna double expand here, throwing down that expansion over at center left. A little run by going into the natural. Vulture's gonna be able to slip past here. Probe almost blocking there on the ramp, but Vultures will be able to slip through with no missed shots, making their way into the main base. Nice Sim City though from Best. Is actually gonna lock these Vultures on the right hand side. That's a pretty sweet Sim City there. He doesn't have anything behind the mineral patches though, and we'll lose a few more probes because of it.
Well, you can't totally blocking the Sim City in case it's a dropship and Vultures later on. You have to like kind of keep some of it open for later, so I can kind of forgive that there's nothing blocking behind the minerals there. Pretty good strategy from him overall in terms of how he's positioning his buildings. I'm a little bit concerned about how the power scaling is working for Rush right now. I don't know how many siege tanks he's got. If he's got like 7 or 8 tanks right now, he might be able to just go on a warpath and set up a big siege outside this 3rd base location. It doesn't take long at all for Terran to set up there, and I'm not sure Best has a lot of answers for that right now. It's predominantly just gateway units accessible to him, and he's pumping off of two or three gateways for so long, and Rush is just making more and more of his own factories. How many siege tanks have we got here? Yeah, this is like 8 siege tanks. So if Rush wanted to, he could just push across on this horizontal axis.
Yeah, I think if Rush had full vision of what's going on right now, if he's able to see exactly what Best is up to and how few gateways he has, I think he would definitely want to push, and he did get some information with that Vulture run by. Maybe enough to kind of deduce that a push is... it's the right time to get over here and try to punish Best, who stayed on such a low gateway count for so long, hasn't built into any other tech like Reaver or anything like that to try and slow this down. Look at how many gateways are coming on online right now. Best is panicking. He needs units.
Yeah, he's got the 4 base worth of economy coming in, but he hasn't got the production. It's only just now starting to kick in. He's going to be firing on all cylinders, but he has to evacuate this natural 3rd location. It's a good punish here from Rush. He hasn't got his own 3rd base set up, so he kind of needs to do some damage to best. He can't just allow the Protoss to power off of 4 bases like this for free. Leg enhancements aren't going to be finished yet either, so even if he does somehow produce a lot of Zealots, they're not going to be able to be brought to bear efficiently enough. And now Rush cycling down with some of his army towards the center of the board as well, kicking these Dragoons out from having a chance at collapsing onto the rally point location of these units streaming across. So he's catching these Dragoons mid-transit and stopping them from going on the counter-offensive here. This is great active gameplay from Rush. You can see why he's so highly regarded in the scene. He really is one of the better Terran players.
This is really rough for Best. He lost so many pylons at that 3rd base. He had a full pylon wall plus the Nexus. That was a ton of supply that got deleted. And now Zealot's running forward here. Oh my gosh, he's just going to take this engage immediately. Not enough Vultures here to actually block all of this. Great line connection there from the north. Zealot's getting on top of a lot of this stuff. And the tank count has been severely reduced. Can he overwhelm with this next rally, or will Rush push into the natural?
This is looking pretty good for Rush. As long as he's got enough Vultures to screen, he's going to be sitting pretty. Even some floating buildings now to glitch out the AI of best and false. Good target firing. Some of these tanks, though, are exceedingly low on HP. Going to be able to pick those off with some good targeting from those phaser shots. He does kill another tank, but still, after all of that, there's 4 tanks knocking on the door with 2 more streaming across the map. Mines being laid in the wake of this rally point. I think Rush is starting to do it. He's only got 3 bases worth of economy. He has got the gateway online necessary to break this, but it looks like the tempo maybe just better. Oh, a DT actually is coming out now from Best. If he doesn't identify this, there's a turret that's just about to finish, but it does kill one of the tanks in time. Luckily, that turret finished up and stopped total disaster from occurring. And I do feel like this attack from Rush should still be successful.
Yeah, I don't think he has comsats, actually. He didn't have comsats earlier, kind of skipped over it. And so, you know, Best can sort of delay this with a bit of GT play, but he's getting locked down in his natural. It's very difficult to break out here on Radeon once the Terran is set up in such a wide arc with these little doodads plus the floating buildings as well. How do you ever get out of here? And we're going to be hitting probes here in a moment with these tanks on the left-hand side.
I mean, yeah, this is really great game theory here from Rush. Just putting 1 siege tank into a critical position, forcing Best to come out to challenge it. And that means he's going to trade so effectively with that massive kill box of the other siege tanks to the eastern side of our screen. Now, this is just really well played from Rush. Like, he's been able to find what he needs to do at every junction in this game. And he's making Best look a little bit silly. And Best is no slouch in this matchup, to say the least. One of the best Protoss versus Terran players there is GGing out and going 2-1 down in this best of 7 series. Wow, I'm really impressed with Rush.
Dude, that's so insane. Rush takes a lead in the series. I did not expect Rush to get ahead at all. I thought that Best would be beating him down for the most part, but that reversal on Eclipse has started some momentum here for Rush, and it's up to Best to take that away. Can he make it happen on his next map pick?
유영진 선수 그리고 이에 맞서는 11시 도주혁 선수입니다.
Here we go, Death Valley. Map pick from Best, map number 4 here. We haven't seen the most TVP on this map, Xun. How do you think this is going to go down?
Well, I actually think TVP, statistically speaking, has been fairly even on Death Valley. I'm sure it's Protoss favored, but in terms of the actual results we've had, it's kind of gone either way. So this might not be the worst map for Rush, as long as he can hold his own and figure out whatever shenanigans are going to be coming his way here from Best. We got a very early probe scout coming out, probably for that gas steal play. How will he want to follow that up is going to be the question. There's so much range of play you can go for on this map. It's absolutely insane. You need to have really pinpoint accurate scouting information to navigate this cleanly.
We've seen a lot of players try to cheese on this map just because the amount of craziness that can go on. And the range of play here is so vast. Kind of narrowing that down by putting a lot of pressure on your opponent early can be an appropriate way to play. Throwing down the gas here, Rush delays his barracks by quite a bit, and therefore his marine, to make sure that that gas steal can't come down. He's got a plan for this map.
Yeah. And sometimes, even though it's not technically the most optimal thing to go for that 10 gas to block the gas steal, even if it's not necessarily optimal, it can throw a wrench in the game plan of your opponent, and almost that is in of itself is valuable enough. Like Best also had something mapped out and planned here, and if he wasn't expecting Rush to just take his own gas preemptively like that and slow himself down, now Best has to make some micro adjustments to, you know, what he had planned himself initially. And this is also guaranteeing Rush from getting his plan online by having access to a factory right off the bat. So already a bit of a moral victory going to Best to Rush here.
We're not going to get to see the game plan that was originally made by Best, but maybe he can put something together, a follow-up, a plan B here without the gas steal. Looks like he's going to be taking a Nexus potentially on the left-hand side of the map. He can hop a probe over, but he's opting to just mine that out slowly but surely. Looks like he's got it mapped out here to where he's going to start that probe mining, and it'll be done just in time for when he's ready to take that Nexus.
Yeah, it's probably going to be, you know, at the very least a 23 Nexus. I don't think it's going to be any sooner than that, probably maybe even a little bit later as well. If he sends 2 probes to mine it out, he could probably go for it. Oh, he's actually taking it down there. And I thought he wasn't going to take it down here in his natural. I thought he was going to mine out the other side and take it down there. This is going to be interesting. And you know, his factory was delayed by about 10 seconds or so. That was like a 239 rather than a 229 factory. So that's good to know that, you know, being forced to take your gas early here as Terran to block the gas deal kind of sets you back by about 10 seconds in terms of tech timing here when all's said and done. And it's going to be following up with a quick starport, so maybe to look for that, you know, very fast vulture drop into the main base. I mean, I guess it could be Wraiths, but I highly doubt it.
You gotta be kind of curious here as Rush, and he's seen everything. He's seen that there's a Nexus in the front, and he sees this probe mining minerals at the back. Now, why would he want to mine out that mineral patch back there so early on when there's potential for like a vulture to get slipped over the left-hand side and then come up into his flank? There must be a plan here for this. Maybe Best angling towards a very quick third base.
Ooh, and look at this vulture running around the long way as well. He's going to maybe look to intercept with some mines soon. The upgrade is on the way. It's just about to finish. He won't be able to slip it in though, unfortunately. So it's actually kind of better for him, I think, this vulture not getting in, because he wants to be able to lay down some mines with it in a few moments here. There's the mine upgrade. He can start laying down some mines here in a few moments. I don't think he's going to be able to poke in here and achieve too much. Best also going to be throwing down an AI pylon here to body block up and help out when this force does come in. With good micro, Best should be okay, but good target firing from Rush onto those Dragoons on the south. Has to lay down some mines. He has to be careful not to go too far forward with his Dragoons now. If he detonates a mine on top of those probes, it's going to be the world of hurt. This isn't the worst attack here from Rush, but it's not actually going to be accomplishing a lot as well. He's denying some mining time at best, and there's going to be a dropship coming out. So if his game plan is simply to draw the attention of Best to this natural and kind of forget about the possibility of a drop coming in soon around about the 6-minute mark, then this is a really good attack from Rush. And if Best doesn't have anything in his main, he's in trouble.
Yeah, look at this. Best is going to be throwing down Pylon Nexus over here on the left-hand side. Oh my gosh, he's got the star sense. Should talk about it a lot, but this is just pure star sense from Best. He's not going to be distracted by that attack on the right-hand side. He's going to completely respond to this, but still, a lot of probes are going to end up going down here. It even gets the mine connection. Huge kills there from Rush. This really paying for itself now.
Yeah, this is already worth it. I mean, Best isn't technically out of the game, but another run by into the natural as well, killing more and more of these probes. Mines laid in the wake of those. This is really critical damage here from Rush. I mean, Best isn't technically out of the game, but the job has been done from Rush. He's got his own expansion building in the natural, so it's kind of necessary that he finds some damage here. This isn't your like typical Vulture drop build where you're taking your CC in the natural and then you're getting the star, but then you're getting the dropship. He got this dropship off one base to try and catch Best with his pants down, so the dropship was like 30 seconds or so ahead of schedule and a lot more challenging for Best to read it, but somehow, some way with the star sense, managed to intercept it and avoid critical damage from just being eliminated right away.
This third base already coming up here for Best, so he's following through with his game plan. Oh, getting caught with the vultures coming out. Already loses 2 before getting even a single probe. Very good defense from Best so far. And yeah, I mean, yes, he loses quite a bit. He takes quite a bit of damage to these vultures, but exactly to what you were saying earlier, Xun, there's just now going to be the CC coming online, and Best is going to have triple probe production going here, so he can definitely replenish a lot of these probes, whereas Rush has not been making that many SCVs.
Yeah, and he has thrown a lot of vultures down the drain to get this damage, so you can see that reflected in the supplies. Despite all those probes falling, actually the supplies looking reasonably healthy here for Best. I mean, that's a lot of military units that were dying for just worker units at the end of the day. And yeah, with 3 Nexuses pumping out probes, he can make up that deficit like you were saying. So this isn't really that big of a deal for Best in the long run. Maybe though Rush can get some continuation, but look at that observer in such a great position to spot this and intercept these 2 vultures and at least take out a lot of the potential value. I mean, they will still kill a few probes here and there, but as long as they don't get crazy amounts of probe kills, Best is going to still be sitting pretty.
Maybe 3 probes end up going down. That's just a single round from these 3 Nexi, and Best is going to continue just pumping out as many as he can. Armory is down. Some upgrades are going to be coming here. Transition into a longer game from Rush, but I mean, I don't see that many tanks here, Xun. He doesn't have the capability of really doing any sort of a push for quite a while here. And it's going to be hard for him to even hold this natural base, let alone get a third base, which I think he'd like to do over on that top side, while Best is taking another base in the center left.
Well, I think that's reflected in his gameplay right now. We've talked about it a lot here in StarCast and on KCM, how sometimes offense is the best form of defense, especially when you have so few units, and that's what has been exemplified at this present time. He hasn't got a lot of units back at home, doesn't want to have Best like consolidate all of his forces to go for his own assaults. He wants to keep Best defending multiple locations with this like drop-based harassment style gameplay, and it's working out pretty good. He's got these 2 tanks on the high ground, but a shuttle comes out to drop some dragoons onto those, force an unsiege. Another dropship though coming out will be able to micro these tanks and kind of do some old-fashioned boxer micro of picking them up as they're being targeted by the phase disruption shots. So we'll be able to get out of dodge with those units. Has denied mining at this natural for quite some time, but a 4th base already finishing up for Best.
Going up to 5 factories now, and eyeing up that third base. Rush setting up that location just to the north of his main will kind of defend his main base. It's going to create a wall or a circle of defense there as he starts to set up turrets and mines and potentially Goliaths as well, anti-air all around that area to keep himself safe. Best is itching for an attack, though. You can tell he's got quite a few shuttles coming out here, and he's gonna have Zealots with speed shortly as well. Best allowing some more vultures to slip past. A few more probes will go down, but this army is starting to get big.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens this game, because honestly I think this game is going to be one of the hardest to call, because it looks like Best has such a great setup with these 4 bases and he's churning away, but who knows, maybe somehow Rush can translate this harassment style into a very powerful 2-base timing that kind of catches Best off guard. If Best is spread out defending against all of these drops coming, you know, all over the place, if somehow Rush manages to consolidate a large force on the ground and suddenly surge forward like we see now, he could, you know, get into a great position before Best is able to respond appropriately and maybe take out this 4th base or get on top of the rally point, for example. He's distracting Best on the right side of the map, and honestly there's not enough forces to deal with this Terran push right now.
Oh my gosh, where are all the forces? Over at the natural, Rush is pushing in. He's actually getting on top of that critical high ground at the bottom left. He's able to control that area and thus control quite a bit of space here on this side of the map. Some Zealots are going to be baited in, and Best just lost a lot of units. He is still very far ahead in supply, though. You know, 60 supply advantage for him here. He should be able to stop this, but he's actually doing a counterattack. Reaver here in the natural is going to get huge kills on a lot of these SCVs. No turrets here yet. That turret was blocked and stopped from finishing, and Rush is just going to try to push forward here. I think this is the moment that Best has been waiting for as Rush tries to dive in towards this 3rd base. Zealots are going to come down. Their speed is about to finish. Here it is. He's finished speed. He's going to come down with his overwhelming supply and just try to end Rush while doing all this harassment at the same time.
23 kills on that Reaver, and unfortunately the attackers dried up for Rush. I thought there was a tiny glimmer of hope for him with that initial push, but there certainly was enough forces available to Best to go ground and pound on this Terran player and equalize the scores back to a 2-all game state. And if Best somehow wins 2 games in a row, our predictions will still come true, but certainly Rush has been making this look nowhere near as one-sided as we thought it would be, Sam.
Yeah, Rush has been putting up a great fight. That 1-base style, it looked pretty strong, honestly. The early drop there, getting quite a bit of probe damage, but Best was just powering up, and he kept those Dragoons active, constantly cleaning up the harassment attempts from Rush and building into a stellar economic position there, getting that damage going as the attack's coming across the map. Excellent play from Best, and we're going to jump into our next game. Citadel is Rush's next map pick. He's spawning over there in the top right-hand corner. Best down here in the bottom right. And this series has already been a banger. This has really gone better than I could have expected or anticipated based on how the rest of the SCSL season has gone. Basically, we're getting down to the wire here, guys. So many of these series have been one-sided, but at the end of the day, the strongest players have been brought to the semifinals, and they're going to start to have some fireworks.
And this is one of the better spawns for Rush, let's be honest. Like, look at the natural trajectory of the third base here. Best has to expand towards Rush unless he expands all the way over to the 6 o'clock. And Rush doesn't have to expand towards the Protoss player. He can take this 12 o'clock. So these spawns heavily favoring Rush, and he doesn't have to worry about like a cross-map Nexus first being hard to punish either. So in all things considered, this is one of the best situations for Rush just based on positions alone.
Absolutely. It's a little easier for Best to start taking bases like down in the bottom left-hand corner, not expanding over towards Rush by taking his natural third. But it's very hard for a Terran player to take that base, so Rush going to be breathing a bit of a sigh of relief when he gets the scouting information that Best has spawned down here and that he has a pretty clear direction for that third base.
Yeah, that's for sure. And to be fair with you, this is like a historically more Terran-sided map than Protoss, as long as you can avoid those slightly awkward spawn situations. So I'm sure Rush will be feeling really good about this and maybe can continue his lead if he can somehow win here. This would be great for him going forward and maintaining his tempo.
Was that a Nexus first? Yes, Nexus first with double gateway to follow up here. So a little bit of a conservative Nexus first out of Best.
Right.
And a CC getting thrown down for Rush. No, on what, one Marine? I think he figured he's being a little greedy here, but it's absolutely warranted. Rush is gonna get away with this greed and have a pretty reasonable follow-up against the Nexus first here of Best.
Right, if this was like a gateway into really early 14 Zealot, this would be way too greedy from Rush and he would be punished as a result. But he's read this correctly and there's no pressure coming from Best. And like you say, a very conservative Nexus first in the way of having 2 gateways early on. It means you're kind of cutting probes. You see how the Nexus isn't actually flashing right now? That's because he has to kind of cut corners to afford everything. And one of the corners he has to cut is that probe production just for a little bit of time. So when all said and done, he won't have as much wind in his sails with this Nexus first because of playing it in such a safe manner.
Yeah, he's not going to have the earliest tech either. Just now throwing down that Robo, and so this is a very reasonable position for Rush. He's even going to be able to slip in with that SCV and see the timing on the Robo. So everything kind of going his way here. You really got to say, Rush is looking to be in a good spot. And, you know, Best not really playing at his absolute peak. He's been losing so many units this series to mines. It's kind of shocking.
Right. Yeah, I don't think he's been performing nearly at his highest of potential range, saying it has to be said. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if he's like been playing a bit more relaxed and he's going to turn up the heat when it comes time for ASL. I don't know what the situation is with that, but he certainly isn't performing anywhere near that 100% range. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems more than enough to go toe-to-toe with Rush. We're currently tied up, and some of the wins have been pretty convincing for Best. We're going to be seeing another Reaver opening here from him to slow down and harass Rush a little bit in this game state, and that's usually his go-to. He, you know, opens up Reavers just for slowdown purposes, and then transitions into a more gateway man style. That's kind of the Best we've come to know and love over the years, and with these massive boot-shaped main bases, he's gonna have to set up a few of these pylons on the periphery to spot for vulture drop potential, because that's such a powerful way of playing on this map with how big these main bases are.
Well, it's a good time to fall back on old reliable, considering we're here 2-2, all tied up. Not the time to get fancy and try something like, you know, DT drops or 2-base arbiter.
Right.
That's kind of out of his normal style of play. Go to what he knows best and put out the best game possible, and he should be able to give us a great series here, maybe even take down Rush and give himself that opportunity to play Snow PvP in the finals.
Yeah, and you can see the probe down at this 6 o'clock location, which is actually quite far from his natural, so a little bit of a sticky situation that Best will find himself in. He'll have to pylon wall in the left ramp and potentially Dragoon block Dragoon block the ramp on the other side of the Nexus. It's not as optimal of a base for him to take as, say, if the spawns were reversed and he was taking 12 o'clock, then he'd be feeling a lot more comfortable about that. So Rush definitely has a big advantage in terms of the expansion paths, at least for the early mid game. The longer the game goes on, the less of a problem that will be for Best, but for the time being, this doesn't feel so comfortable for him.
It's definitely an easier task to take an outlying base like this for the Protoss than it is for the Terran, but I catch your drift. He will be a little bit more open to the harassment attempts of Rush, which have been pretty successful this series in particular. He's been able to get in there and get damage over and over again. And so having a little bit of an opening, a bit of a soft underbelly here, that might come in, might become important here as we go forward. Maybe Rush can get in there and deal the damage at that third base.
Yeah. I mean, Rush is definitely more than capable of that. He's going to power up into 5 factories. Yeah, there's the 5th factory there now. And he doesn't have to attack. I mean, we've seen it so many times. When you power up into 5 factories, you can just take a 3rd base and be a little bit slower with your upgrade timings. He's just scanned and killed the observer there. So eventually Best won't know what variation this will be. Will this be a 5 factory 2 base timing attack, or will this be the 3rd base variant where he's just got a lot of meat on the bone for the Protoss to chew through and make it easier to take that 3rd base?
Dead even on supplies right now, Xun. That is wild. Rush is on point today. 380 APM. Just spamming on these skis. Absolutely getting as much value out of this early game as he can. The build order here has come to fruition now, and he's got everything he needs to start to push things back. CC on the way. It will be that 3rd base slow play here on 5 factories to try and take that as smoothly as possible, but Dragoons, Zealots, and Reavers sitting on top of the ramp. We got a bit of a fighting spirit situation going on here. It'll be hard to take that spot without a big fight.
Yeah, the Dragoons are going to be a little bit annoying here to Rush from the high ground. He'll have to very tentatively leapfrog these tanks over, and it will slow down his expansion timing by just a little bit. I think when all said and done, though, this mainly comes down to the fact that this was a safe Nexus first from Best versus a bunker expand. So the probe cutting eventually has caught up to him a little bit here, and Rush is in a much more favorable position than Best would like him to be. The one thing going for Best, though, is that he will be slowing down this 3rd base quite significantly, regardless of the fact that there is these 5 factories online. Dragoon's running all the way around to kill one single vulture in the wall. That's a weird play from Best. I don't like that he's committing this many Dragoons to killing one single vulture.
I feel like he could have gotten more delay from this high ground here if he'd been sending Dragoons over to that location and having the Reavers mobile in that spot, dropping and trying to get some free pot shots on those incoming tanks. But instead, he's going to back off, just let this base go down and try to take more bases for himself in the bottom left-hand corner. He also walked into a mine with those Dragoons as he went to go clear that vulture. So just kind of repeating the mistakes of the past. This whole series has been a kind of a Three Stooges event of him just wandering into mines over and over again and stepping on rakes and kind of hitting himself in the face.
Bob. Yeah, I was thinking of Psycho Bob just walking onto rakes from Simpsons.
Sideshow Bob.
Sideshow Bob, my bad. I'm bad with names of things. You should know that by now. But yeah, I mean, Best is going to take this base in the bottom left. He's going to split the map in half and potentially get another rally point set up there. I don't know. Like this is looking pretty okay for Rush still. Like there was actually a bit of a funny moment where the probe ran by a vulture that was sitting down here in the natural, and then the vulture went into the main base to try and find the probe and missed it, and the probe hit off to the side. So Best got a little bit lucky as well with not losing this probe, trying to take these bases down here in the bottom left. Some stars have aligned for Best going forward, but he's going to double expand here into the bottom left. Yeah, there goes the second Nexus now. And I don't. The longer this goes on, the better it's going to be for Best. But for the time being, I do like Rush's position. The question is going to be, can he leverage this into a good timing attack to thwart Best, or is he going to slowly but surely dry up here in this game?
Hard to take a fourth base on this map for the Terran player. Like we talked about it a lot, that it was great that he's going to be able to take that third base pretty easily, but where do you go for that fourth? Are you going to try to push to the center right and take the base behind the push? Or are you going to stretch way out into the top left? Or potentially take the center? That's also an option. I think that might be the best option here for Rush. If he wants to go for an attack, take the center, control that middle, and then start to spread out tanks and hit these different locations.
Yeah, even though it's not, you kind of have to treat this map a little bit like Retro in that regard, and very typically your fourth base will be the center of the board, just so that you could have an easier time of delegating defenders and consolidating all of your attacking power into one location, and then not allow the Protoss to play Ring Around the Rosie and just circumnavigate your army for the majority of the game. So yeah, it's usually the go-to to take this middle base as your fourth as Terran if you can't get the job done with 3.
A little bit of harassment here, but Rush not going to find much with the number of cannons that have been placed here. Best pretty well defended. A lot of shuttles are ready to go for some sort of a dive. Oh man, is he actually going to try to dive on top of this third base with 5, 6 shuttles?
What do you think? Here he goes anyway, dropping out a big long train of Zealots, High Templars, and Reavers. Best is an absolute mad lad, and he's somehow making it work. He has broken through, but will he get enough compensation for how many units that have fallen? He's not killing the CC, obviously. He has forced an evacuation on the SCV line, but he's not able to get anything done elsewhere. Didn't kill that many tanks as well, so I wouldn't necessarily call that attack successful, but I mean, I guess it lost some mining time here for Rush, and Best just wants to trade off the supply from being maxed. As long as he doesn't like allow Rush to suddenly set up a tempo play by attacking on the vertical axis and coming down to the rally point, he'll be fine. So Best is going to have to stay aggressive non-stop and threaten, you know, future storm drops and what have you in the SCV line. That's going to be the aim of the game, is trying to whittle down the Terran slowly but surely.
That was crazy, Xun. That was so many shuttles that he threw in there. All except for 2 died, by the way. It was something like 6 shuttles. So he lost 4. He's got 2 more. The turrets have been rebuilt. Rush diligently continuing to build turrets here. That's going to make it hard for this follow-up drop to really get some damage, but oh my gosh, great dodge there. Great follow-up dodge as well. How many SCVs are going to go down? There's that storm. They get some damage, but honestly not that many kills. And Rush is going to just unsiege everything and start to push.
Yeah, he's opened himself up for a counter-attack now. Best has to be seriously careful. This is a great tempo play from Rush. Good preemptive D-Matrix, but those tanks are so clumped up on the periphery. Look at how many tanks are falling to those Psionic Storms, Saiyan. This is absolutely crazy. Here comes 2 shuttles as well to dive bomb on that back line. He can't keep getting away with this, Saiyan. It's almost like he was baiting Rush into an attack, and this was the real attack order that Best had planned the entire time. I don't know if this guy is just crazy or a genius, but somehow he makes it work every single time.
Oh my gosh, that was disgusting. Storms absolutely eviscerating everything. If you guys were watching, the supply of Rush absolutely plummeted during that attack. He dropped from like nearly max to 70 supply. Just crazy amounts of kills. Oh my gosh, what an insane trade for Best there. All right, Best takes the lead in the series. He's spawning over here in the center right. Rush over there in the top left. I mean, he's got to be salty about that one. He played a fantastic game overall and then walked out into 5 storms and lost his entire army.
I mean, there's a thin line between crazy and genius Saiyan, and Best does backflips and cartwheels along it when he's playing. I don't even know what I'm looking at half the time. It's absolutely bonkers insane what this guy is able to pull off. And there's definitely a method to the madness, though, that's for sure. That's why he's such a successful player, especially in this matchup. We used to think this was going to be a Protoss-sided map when this first came out with all the high to low ground transitions and potentials of punishing the Terran, but I mean, players like Light have very quickly figured out that as long as you're taking the center of the board and choking the Protoss player up with the geometry of the map and avoiding a lot of those pizza slices from becoming a factor, it can actually be a pretty Terran favored map when all things considered. You just have this early game to contend with of having a low ground main base.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's still pretty difficult to push on this map. You were talking about Light there. He's like the guy, I think, who figured out really how you're actually supposed to push here. And other players have sort of caught on to it, some more than others, but it doesn't seem to be very viable to push through the pizza slices. Like, we've seen so many players try that play and try to go for that style of push and just fall completely flat on their faces. I wonder if Rush will fall to the same fate, or has he adapted that style and you know, doing that type of push through the middle of the map? Is he going to be able to pull that off?
Yeah, he's going to have to be a lot more composed than he has been in some of these other fights. It's really unfortunate for him that he got all of his tanks so clumped up there in that last game on Metropolis. He just assumed he was in such a favorable position after defending the non-stop onslaught at his 12 o'clock third, and was like, surely I've got more than you now, I can go, right? But Best, I don't know how he does it, but he's always seemingly got a game plan or some kind of contingency and a way of dealing with you that you didn't think about, and always seems to manage to find those favorable trades and bait his opponent into unfavorable ones. We'll see if we can rinse and repeat that same cycle of madness here on Dominator. But I mean, when all said and done, there's a few percentile points advantage going towards the Terran side as long as you can navigate this map cleanly.
I'm curious to see if Best will continue with his Zealot High Temp Large Shuttle style that has become, you know, so kind of epitomizing his play. This is the way that Best does it, and he does it better than basically everyone else in the world. I would really like to see him stick with this, but we've seen him do some pretty crazy builds on this map. A lot of DT play here. Curious to see if he'll try to mix it up now that he's got a bit of an advantage in 3-2.
Well, he tends to mix it up purely to obfuscate his range. He doesn't want players to min-max against him and mitigate him too much, knowing his preferred style. So I kind of get why he occasionally throws out things like a DT drop and what have you. We'll see if that's what he wants to elect for this game as well. I'm not so sure. We just saw him a moment ago pay the price of admission of a few shield hit points just to check that there was actually a CC there, and this isn't some kind of crazy two-factory play. Two-factory slightly more common on maps like this than some of the other ones, so he just wants to guarantee making sure that's not going to be an eventuality he has to worry about. He's gone for a fairly early second gas here, has Best as well, so yeah, probably going to be a more tech-heavy play, and there is that Templar archive, so we might actually be seeing a DT drop into Arbiter play or something that we've been talking about just a moment ago.
Wow, called it. There it is. DT play. Best feeling comfortable, man. He feels like, you know, I can take a risk. I can give it a try. Let's see if I can get in there with some DTs and get a quick win here. End this run for Rush. And I mean, it might end up working out. It's kind of a gamble. And Rush's defense has been on point this series so far. But, you know, one thing that he's been a little bit lacking on is detection. He hasn't been getting the Academy out that fast. He is going to be throwing down a turret here, though, and protecting everything. Yeah, look at that. He's even got the barracks, which he could float over that turret to make sure that nothing can target him down.
And that's a very good compensation for only having one of them. The other choice is having two turrets, one at the front, one slightly further back, to bait the pros into sniping the first turret and having one for insurance. That's a great play, though, from Rush. You know, just killing one Dragoon there for more or less for free, and even getting some cancel minerals out of Best as well. That's not the worst way to start the game for him. How is he going to fare, though, against this DT dropper? Looks like he's expecting it and is in position to deal with it. Some mines being laid in the path of that. Has got some units around the periphery of that turret. Looks like we're going to go for some consolation prizes of trying to kill this machine shop instead.
There's also a supply depot to the north. You can try to pick that off. Just getting a couple of extra building kills here. Gonna get this turret as well. That's some nice damage. Rush is starting to hurt here. This is painful. Losing some SCVs. 2 SCVs going down. Oh, he's in range of the turret. He does pull back in time. Another turret going up on the high ground. But this supply depot is going down for sure. And Best is getting the value that he needs out of these early DTs and the drop. And slowing down Rush quite a bit. There's a good chance he switches into Arbiter after this as well. And yeah, he's just continuing to get this damage. This is very good for Best.
Yeah, this isn't the damage he really wants, but this is the damage that he needs to do to make this play worthwhile. So this is like the prerequisite. Okay, I went for this early tech play and I got the value and the compensation necessary to go through to the next phase of the game. Or he's going to go for a gambit here and just try and target down as many SCVs as possible. Does get a fair few of them, not maybe as many as he was looking for, but I would say maybe enough to still make a good game of it. This wasn't also the worst possible defense there from Rush, of course. Like, he could have done a lot more to him if he'd been a little bit more out of position and not able to defend all of these turrets. It could have been a bit of a nightmare for Rush that spiraled out of control into a very early GG. DT making his way to the third base as well to slow down this is super annoying.
Wow, Rush just trying to get away with a super fast third base. He will be able to shut down this DT and even keeps the SCV alive so he can continue to make this CC. He knows that Best is going to be a little unit light at this point. Now, he could try to do something like a really aggressive push and punish, but of course, Best is going to keep making DTs. There's going to be a lot of cloaked units. You're not going to have that many scans to continue that push, and maybe you get overwhelmed, but there's a very good chance that Rush can just hold down this third base and get a third online right on curve, like pretty much at the same time as when Best gets his third Nexus up.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a bad game for Rush at all. Like, I would say, despite it looking like that DT drop being reasonably successful, it was more or less the bare minimal threshold of compensation necessary to continue. So when all said and done, Rush is in a pretty good spot. He's got a lot of tanks snaking over a siege tank line to that third base to protect that lane. The timings of his factories are reasonable. He's not been slowed down too much here in this game, and Best's third base was not that crisply timed. He is going to be taking a fast fourth base as compensation now, so Best is trying to catch up with this very quickly timed fourth base.
Well, Vulture's searching around for some openings, looking to slip down there towards that bottom center and see what kind of damage they can get done, but Best being very conscious with these Dragoons. He's even got a DT here to defend this high ground, preventing Rush from really getting the damage that he's managed to find in other games. Still, Rush with this third base coming online so quickly, I'm really liking his position here. It's such a great setup, by the way, with all the turrets and mines and tanks spread out along here, and not overcommitting to harassment with the vultures. Just sending a couple in here and there to get a few kills. It's really perfect from Rush, but the follow-up push is where the rubber really hits the road, and Rush is going to have to perform, or Best is going to overwhelm him and completely smash him in once again, like we saw on that last map.
Yeah, and I mean, we might get a bit of a rinse and repeat of that game number 1 with how much heavy lifting the Arbiters are able to do if you're not careful. So we'll have to wait and see how well Rush can navigate against that. You can actually see some really beautiful anti-recall mines already going up from him, and this is very early on. This is nowhere near the recall timing. Like, he's still safe for another almost minute, maybe a minute and a half until that recall energy would be ready. So I mean, I like to see Rush is like dotting his I's and crossing his T's before he forgets in the coming phases of the game. Getting set up this early on against recall defense will make it much more easier for him going forward. He can consolidate the majority of his forces to the rally point in this third base location. As a result, we'll have to see if we are going to be having a recall based play from Best, or is he going to be focusing more on stasis in the center?
Really made some great use of stasis in that game number 1. I mean, that was kind of a ridiculous amount of stasis that he ended up having after kind of retaining that Arbiter count for so long. We never ended up seeing the EMPs come out to really shut that down, and so maybe Best taking note of that. That fact, you know, realizing that maybe Rush is a little weak to Arbiter. Maybe he can continue to abuse this tech and get another win here in this game. Can Rush put all the pieces together? He's getting close to a move out amount of supply with these upgrades coming online. Dude, Best is gonna go for a recall. Are you kidding me? This is so well set up. This could actually backfire massively if he lands on a mine. There is, of course, that armory here in the corner, which is a huge target. Can he actually recall on top of all this and target down the armory? Oh my gosh. Perfect recall here. He doesn't really eat much mine damage at all, and the armory is gonna go down.
Yeah, this is a great target fire from Best, denying that potentially critical weapons upgrade from finishing. Yeah, I don't think the other armory was spinning, so it was very likely that was the +2 weapons that was just now cancelled, and he quickly started another attempt in this second armory that we're getting on screen now. Another armory being made to replace the one that fallen. I mean, it's such a great play if you can just get in there quickly, snipe one of the upgrades, and then back out again and kind of just expand and set up a rally point of your own. This is a great play from Best. He's really attacking indirectly to the Terran player, limiting the scaling and the punching power that Rush will be afforded later on into the mid to late game phase. He now is just gearing up to want to attack Best and has lost that critical +2 attack timing to do so with.
These upgrades matter so very much. It's kind of like ZVT, where the carapace and attack upgrades are so impactful. You really do need those upgrades to finish, and anytime you can snipe one of those structures is absolutely worth it. A huge recall from Best cost him quite a bit of supply, but he's already remaxed all of that out, and he's got so many arbiters here to try and take this next fight. Are we gonna see EMP come out from Rush to try and shut that down? Because otherwise he's gonna be eating these really powerful stasis over and over again. Here comes a second recall right on top of the mines. Pretty good mine connections there, but he is gonna get a lot of units into this corner.
This is kind of crazy. Very ambitious here from Best. I'm not sure this is the best play, pun unintended, but maybe this is what he needs to do to keep Rush kind of pinned back and not really thinking about attacking too much. But he's actually going to be playing more like Flash and actually go for the offensive while using rally point units only to clear up this recall. Needs to be careful. He spreads his tank. Good preemptive D-Matrix on the frontal line of assault here, but that tank is going to quickly be eviscerated by the infantry of Best, who's now tuck-tailing and run with a tactical withdrawal back to his rally point pizza slice. He knows it's a bad idea to engage this army frontally right now. Gives a little bit of oxygen for Rush to surge forward, and now he's going to jump back on top of that high ground yet again. Stasis coming in on 3 of those tanks. Here comes some more Psionic Storms as well to clear up some of those clumped up tanks. Really well executed here from Best. Just got a bit of a bait and switch here from him that we see so often. He kind of forces you into taking some ceded territory, and just as you go to seize it, he comes back and punishes you.
I don't know how he keeps getting away with this, Xun. Every single time. It looked like Rush had a great push there, but he tried to come along these pizza slices like we talked about earlier and ends up getting punished right as he's going low ground to high ground transition. There's Best diving on the tanks. He's gonna get a clear on all these tanks as they come out of stasis, and he's gonna be diving on the rally tanks as well. Zealots coming up here, conga line across the map, gonna jump on top of these tanks and dragging the mines in and finishing them off. That is it. GG is called, and Best takes the series away. He is going to go into the finals with confidence against No. Dude, what an impressive showing from Best, but I'm still kind of blown away by some of the games here from Rush as well.
Yeah, and we got that 4-2 result that we were anticipating right at the start. Rush did fight back strong initially. I was still impressed by a lot of his play, but I don't know if he was just tilting a little bit or not able to perform to the best of his ability. Maybe he just kind of was tilting his head at the pure madness of Best, where he kind of did everything he was supposed to do. He set up the anti-recall mines. He had tons of turrets there, and Best was still able to just leverage that and get what he needed to be done. Snipe the +2 attack timing, and he's always baiting out attacks. It's almost like he wants to make it seem like he's in a point of weakness that you start to push him, and then he can use that overextension against you. It's kind of crazy. He gives you an inch, forces you to take a mile, and then snaps your ruler in half.
Yeah, some incredible engagements there from Best. He does it better than basically anyone else, just diving on top of tanks over and over again. There were some moments of brilliance from Rush in this series, but today Best is the better player, and he will go into that finals, guys. PvP finals. Not the happiest camper when it comes to PvP finals here, but you know what? That means we're going to get a Rush versus Action third place match, which should be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. We were talking a bit about that in previous weeks, that we were expecting that third place match between Action and Rush. So I'm not surprised, but I'm still happy about it because I think that's going to be a really nice, tidy series between those two individuals, and a really well-balanced one as well. Rush is quite a bit better in Terran versus Zerg than he is versus Protoss, not by some margins as, say, someone like JYJ, but yeah, still definitely going to be helping him do some heavy lifting there. And Action, he has been playing pretty out of his mind in recent times. I don't know how on form he is currently. I would love to see a great series from him. I think that could go really back and forth between those two players. But saying we're going to get some good practice in our Protoss versus Protoss casting in the grand finals between Snow and Best. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, what do you expect from that series? Are we going to see, a tight series between those two players? Do you think that Snow's just going to overwhelm him with his kind of superior Reaver control?
Yeah, I kind of feel like Snow is the superior Protoss versus Protoss player, just by a wide margin. I will be seriously surprised if Best beats Snow in the finals. I feel like maybe a couple of games will go to best. I think he might be able to figure out ways of outmaneuvering or out macroing Snow in a couple of those games, but not enough. I feel like we're going to see more or less a repeat of what we saw here today. Something like a 4-2 victory for Snow. No matter what happens, I feel like it's going to be a pretty convincing win for him. I don't think Best is going to be able to bring it.
Well, guys, that finals is coming up very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching here at the SCSL. My name is Saiyan SC, with me, Xun, and guys, we are going to be extremely excited to bring you the final conclusion here, the finals of this season of SCSL. It's been an absolute blast, and we'll see you there.